Good day and good to see everybody. Mel Sheldon, Chairman of Services Committee. I have with us today Bonnie Juneau and Jared Parks, and we're here to share a few items with you today, that being Living Healthy 2020 and healthcare, as well as our educational objectives that we had shared earlier. We want to bring a little more clarification to them. Recently we signed a memo with the Washington Department of Fish and Game, and then we'll talk a little bit about social media. So good to see everybody, and welcome to Bonnie and Jared. Thank you very much for being on our Services Committee. Recently we started out with Living Healthy 2020, and we really want to bring better healthcare or improve or take what the team is doing already and raise it to another level. And part of the discussion we had was the budget cuts we are facing nowadays with the Trump administration and what that means to our people, as well as grants and such. So Bonnie, would you care to help give our people a little bit more information in that arena?
Yes, one of the things that has come out during our trip to ATNI in Portland was the presented cuts from Trump's budget in areas of social services, housing, and natural resources with EPA cuts. And so we've asked staff to give us a preliminary on what that would look like if those cuts all went through. Now we have an upcoming NCAI meeting coming in Connecticut. Both you and I will be going to that, leaving this weekend, to really fight for those grants to make sure that the most critical areas are saved. And we know that Congress and our Congress people can help us in that journey to make sure that our most critical areas are covered. We do expect some cuts, but we hope with this meeting with Zinke on Tuesday that we can really outline for Indian country what those most critical areas are, so we don't have as big a cuts as that were proposed. So I look forward to that meeting coming up, and I look forward to having you by my side and us being a team together to concentrate on that while the team stays here. And we know that's graduation week, so it's a hard decision always as a board member. Do you go back east to fight for our grant money and our funds that fund the most critical programs, or do you stay and make it to all the graduations? So unfortunately, I will miss many of the graduations, but my heart will be with our students during that time, and my heart will also be with people as we fight for our funding.
Right. Well, thank you, Bonnie. And it really is a time of celebration for our young people who are graduating, and also for the families, and really a great week coming up for us. But yes, we do have to travel. And for those of us, our community members watching, Secretary of Interior Zinke will be there 10 a.m. Tuesday. He will deliver an address to us. Already he's shared some of the budget challenges that Indian country is going to be facing, but we'll be hearing firsthand and get a chance to lobby him, albeit briefly, but it'll be a good time. That's his first invitation he's accepted to address Indian country in person. So it should be a historic moment, a historic time, as he lays out what he thinks will be going on in Indian country, not only in health field, but all the different areas that affect our sovereignty, affect self-governance and such. But really appreciate that. And a big high five to Misty, our general manager. She got the team galvanized to work on what grants might be affected by the budget proposals. And so we really appreciate staff's work. I believe it was we might see a 20% reduction in grants, and that adds up. So do we end up replacing that with tribal hard dollars? What's left there that we can stave off certain cuts, and we'll have those conversations with our general manager, with our health clinic. So we want to assure our membership that we don't want to miss a beat on healthcare, that we know and understand how important that is. Well, thank you. And also in education, I know there was some huge cuts directed towards education. And Tulalip, we've actually brought on Miss Louisa. She's going to quarterback the effort to bring our K through 12 school. We've been saving money for a number of years. Then we diverted some to the ELA, Early Learning Center, the Betty J. Taylor, and we're so happy to have that for our young ones. Those little kids getting that learning going on is just going to be wonderful. It's setting them up for success later. But we've got to then carry the ball from K through 12 for our kids, and all of our families that have kids want good quality education. So Louisa, welcome aboard. We really appreciate Misty going out, finding this lady with the special talents to guide us that way. And a little bit of update on our MOU with the Marysville School District. Recently, we just concluded a 3-year agreement where the tribe was funding them $1.2 million a year. And this year, we decided, well, we can do a 1-year agreement, but we need some performance objectives. And we've, Services Committee, along with the rest of the board and Misty and her team, we are looking at what criteria would we be requiring this next year as we come together and keep education going for our kids. Certainly, I think we want to, at some point in time, I think Jared's brought it up, and yourself included too, Bonnie, we want to meet with our community on different subjects, and this will be one of them, whether we can get a meeting going on this summer, whatever it may be. But stay tuned for that, but we are moving in the right direction on our education. And Jared, thank you very much for what you bring to our table, and Jared was very attentive with the Fish Commission on the Washington Department of Fish and Game and Tulalip MOU. And it kind of, I believe it is a watershed time for us. We had earlier verbal agreements with the Department of Fish and Game, but this more or less puts things in writing and identifies roles. So Jared, would you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mil. The MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, it's another tool in our shed to kind of keep the WDFW in their box. You know, what was discussed when the WDFW came in to our chambers and sat and listened to each individual board member, and the message that was sent was, you know, that, you know, we respect their law, they respect ours. We're not a Mickey Mouse government. We don't play around, you know, we manage our own resource, but the memorandum talked about a friendship, how we can move forward from here on out, how we work together to manage the resource, because it's very important to both sides. So it kind of, it solidified our government and our tribe's stance on governing and sovereigning and managing our resource. And so it's been a very important issue to me. So like Mel said, I've been going to the commission meetings. I've been going to a lot of different things to educate myself. I'm the new guy on the block, so I have a lot to learn. And and I wanted to say something to Bonnie. I want to thank you for going over to NCAI and Mel and other board members that are willing and want to do those things. That is what has happened. There's been board members in our past history that have done that a lot, and it helped us get to where we are today. And so I want you to know that I will be there, the board will be there at these graduations and with these kids that we all have relationships with, but I'm going to pass the message on of that love and compassion to these kids from the board, from the tribe, from the leadership. So I just wanted to say that before we, you know, so, but I just wanted to tell everybody, you know, that I feel like I had an idea of what this job was, and over the past 2 months, I have 4 sides to things. And so I'm seeing more of the information, so it's opening my eyes to the bigger, broader 50,000 square foot view, and it makes me feel good to work with people and family that have the same overall goal and outlook on our people, on our tribe, and being progressive. And we've been working together as not just a services committee, but as a board to solidify this team, to have the same type of vision with some type of cohesion. And when you do that, you move forward together for your people. And so I just wanted to say those words and leave it with the people today, that, you know, you have before I was sitting here, when I'd go in that room, there's all these different feelings, but right now there's a lot of love and light, and it's getting brought to the forward, and trust is a big thing, and communication, and that's what we're working on, and that's what's going to be a fostered and filtered mentality from this team, from this staff, from the organization, and from this community. And if we do it, stay together and do that together, it's going to work. And so I just wanted to leave these words because I was raised to put them on the floor, you know, and leave them here. So, you know, thank you for the time and listening today.
Well, Jared, thank you very much for those very, very good words, and knowing they come from the heart. And, you know, so many people wonder about what does the board do? You know, and certainly I think this board is realizing how important it is to reach out and share as much as we can what we're doing, whether it be policy changes, whether it be a consideration of Marysville School District MOU, the WDF MOU, and thank goodness to all of the board members, we realize that reaching out is so important. We thank our communication staff for helping us reach out to our members. And recently today, as a matter of fact, we had a good conversation about social media. And you know, so we're looking at that as a very important way, or what tool in the box you use to bring information to our membership so that they are more educated, and when it comes to general council or semi-annual, they have a better idea. And so Bonnie, do you have any thoughts on social media?
I do. One of the things, it's really about communication and how do we get information in a timely manner out to everybody, knowing that we have multiple generations that are our audience. We have our elders who may not use social media, though some do. We have our youth that are heavy users of social media, and we have those in-betweens that I believe use both, the paper method. And so I believe what we're realizing in our conversations, we have to use all outlets of communication, and I think these meetings that our membership gets to see here today are one piece of that. We'll also be doing more in our CIATSEP. We'll also be doing more with Tulalip News on using their Facebook to get information out. When are the next board meetings? One of the other issues that came to our attention was people said, you know, I don't know when the policy changes. How do I know this? And we thought, you know, that's right. How do we get this information out to our members? So we talked about some solutions, things like when we send the directives out, we could do a one-pager of just the changes that were made to policy. Also having on the bottom the website that you can go to, or where can you go in person if you don't use the computer or social media to get those copies of the new policy, so that everybody's brought along with the changes that happen. And then that's an opportunity if there's questions or want to know an understanding of why we change policy, a lot of times to bring it to this generation. Some policies are very outdated, we've recognized that. And so I think it's really about communicating with our membership in a good way, letting them know what's happening, and thinking back to with the WDFW Memorandum of Understanding. That was a great conversation, and how we outlined how we work together. We know we've had these challenges with other state entities, state law enforcement, and we've worked through those challenges through great leadership, great partnerships, and saying, you know, it's time to have an understanding. What is sovereignty? How do we protect that? How do we educate our partners on the other side of the freeway, as I say, on where our lines are and where their lines are, and how are we going to work together in the future? And I believe this board is committed to making sure that we continue to educate the state and government entities on what Tulalip is about, what our laws are, and what our rights are, and where their responsibility lays. And so I look forward to a new relationship with WDFW in a way that is respectful of our history and our culture and our sovereignty. And also the Marysville School District, deciding on a 1-year versus a 3-year contract, we really had to look at that, looking at potential budget cuts at the federal and state level. We had to look at that in outlining some expectations and what do we want for our money, making sure that our children are getting the most out of that. So there's a lot to look at, and that's why we decided to be a little frugal this year. Let's do a 1 year. Let's take another look at the next year and see where we can take our children to the next place, knowing that we have invested in an educator that is willing to help us get to that K through 12 that's been the dream of many of our past leaders and current leaders today and members that have pushed for this. So I'm really excited to see the new council work together, and thank you, Jared, for your energy and your willingness to really work as a team, because that's what it's going to take for us to be successful. There's so many issues on our plate. We have to tag team issues, and we have to allow and trust our other board members to go this direction and that direction, and so we can cover everything. So I really appreciate the audience today and our membership for listening, and look forward to many more of these meetings in the future.
Thank you, Bonnie. You're absolutely correct. This is not the first or last one. We're going to try to be bringing out as much information as we can, using this part of social media to relate to our membership. And I want to take time to thank Jared too. You know, him and Bonnie were pushing. Let's find ways to communicate with our membership. And today is one tool in the box we have. Jared, is there other ways that you've thought about how we can communicate with our membership?
What came out of that meeting today, you know, and I believe other board members thought of this before, pre-me, but was the live feed from the boardroom. How that looks, we don't know yet. It was just a discussion. How that can work, and if it's our services and business meetings, or if it's just our Saturday board meeting, we got to start somewhere. And then it'll bring more light to what we really do. We were talking about this at lunch, but anyway, inside joke. So, but it'll highlight, you know, that it'll show the work that we put in and what it takes, and it'll be more of an informational piece for people to see. Video is. There you can see what side of the line on every issue we're on, and what it takes to actually be a team that does have that, you know, at sometimes we don't see eye to eye, and how we get the job done together. I think that's what the community wants from us. I really believe that they put us in these positions to represent them, and to make these decisions to make our home better, just like the prior 82 years before me. It's very surreal and unreal that I'm sitting here, and it makes me feel good that everybody put their faith in me like that. We all have attributes and strengths, and I think that's what we're finding out. Coming from a sports background and team, I always know who I can lean on and what their strengths are. I know he can shoot the three. I know he can post up, all those things. And so I'm already figuring those strengths out from my teammates. And so I lean on my team a lot between, you know, you got Mel, Marie, and Les, and they got a lot of years, they got a lot of time. And Bonnie, her passion that she has and her knowledge in different areas throughout our tribe is a wealth of knowledge. And I can, when we're talking about solar or universal health care, the things that she's passionate about that she's already looked into, you know, and Teresa, she's a policy analyst. I mean, if I want to talk about policy, I'm going to talk to the policy analyst. You know, Terry, I'm finding out she has a very big heart, and she's got a wealth of knowledge from her father. You know, Stan Jones did a lot for our tribe. If you know me and from my writings, I read a lot, and I have a lot of our old minutes. And Terry grew up with that knowledge. She was right there in the front lines in her living room with her father. You know, when all these things were going on and happening, and so I'm just getting I'm just trying to elaborate and show that everybody has a place, and we all have strengths, and if we do this together, like I mentioned before, it's going to work, and it's going to be a better day in Tulalip Bay. So stay tuned.
Yep. Well, thank you, Jared. I really thank you for those words. And right now, you think about news, and I only watch one channel now. It's CNN, and certainly with what President Trump is doing, certainly caught my attention. And so I'm grateful to the likes of the board for allowing Teresa as second vice president of AT&I, and I'm first vice president. And Bonnie, if I could get you on the Law and Justice Committee yesterday, I certainly would, to work on the VAWA issues that you and Teresa are very passionate about. The whole board is really, but you as leaders making that happen as we continue the journey on VAWA for full funding, for full jurisdiction, things of that nature. So thank you very much. And at NCAI, AT&I takes the information, regional issues, brings it to NCAI level, and historically AT&I has been the real leader across the nation at NCAI. And we're striving to reach those standards that our elders set before us of what AT&I did at NCAI. And so very fortunate to have this board support to get to know all the leaders and the issues and the challenges that we face. But without media, without today's video or social media, how do we get the word out to turn people's attention and help them understand the issues? And I think that's what we're trying to accomplish here with our approach with working with social media, to help our membership understand a little bit better the issues that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. And we're very fortunate, again, to have our communications department helping us out the way that they are. So is any last comments you want to share?
Well, I think we should mention, and maybe the committee did prior to us, but we have the honoring of grandmothers coming. And so that will be held at our Longhouse. Tentative date is August 11th, where we will honor the many grandmothers that we have in our community. And I am really looking forward to this. Inez Bill has been a great leader in that area to help us really bring back some cultural teachings. And we are excited to share this new event with our community. So again, August 11th, tentatively. Put it on your calendar, and we will be honoring all grandmothers, but also a special honoree of the top 10 eldest grandmothers. And so looking forward to that as a great way to come together for a positive thing. And really, we know our grandmothers are the great teachers of our community. And as we focus on education and healthcare, there's so much we can learn about all of those things from our grandmothers. So I look forward to that, and I believe that's all I have for today. And thank you, Mel, for all your leadership, and I look forward to this new team and all we can accomplish this year.
Right on. Well, thank you, Bonnie and Jared, for today. And to our membership, thank you all that were at the Memorial Day services at both cemeteries. And I want to thank Frank Ibarra. He was the state president of Vietnam Veterans of America. He came and spoke with us. And then the national president, John Schaefer, he's the national president of the Vietnam Helicopter Pilots Association. And John was my classmate in flight school, and he was so, I was just so grateful that he came to speak to all the folks that showed up for Memorial Day. So thank you very much to both of you. Thank you folks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.